Hello everybody, it's the Doctor here with Typical Manga Fan, and this episode of the Typical Manga Review is dedicated to Bleach, Chapter 663, Rumiko Takahashi's Grounds for a Lawsuit. Yeah, and the reason I say that is because we pretty much open up with Yoruichi in feral cat form, with... I'm skipping ahead a little bit right here to explain this, but she pretty much has the mind of a cat in this form too, which
You
pretty
called it.
much...
You called it.
Yeah, I did see Siku's feral, that would explain the... even though I called it, the Ranma connection did not hit me until I was actually reading this chapter. Because I don't know if you know Ranma yourself, but there's that one, like, the main thing with that is, like,
I know Ranma.
okay, for those who don't, the main character, Ranma Saotome, he has this big old phobia of cats because his father tried to teach him, like, a cat fu fighting technique by tying him to fists and drawing him into a pit full of cats, and he gave him a cat phobia. And when the cat phobia gets really, really bad, his mind turns into that of a cat. He just and he pretty much acts like a cat he he sits until like the main girl Akane gets him over to her and he sits in her lap for a while.
Okay, so Yoriichi, despite having the mind of a cat, is still able to say Shunko Raiju Senkei.
That or Urahara saying it. No,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
Urahara saying it.
it is. Yeah, I totally forgot it is Urahara.
Like, don't you...
Shunryu Kokubo Senki, and it is the name. Okay, totally
Yeah.
forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and asking is quick to pick up on on the fact that the reason Urahara is doing the explanation is because Yoriichi is not in a state to comprehend language.
Yeah. Um, Interesting.
Yeah.
So she basically rushes in and attacks him.
Yep.
Um,
And
Strikes him.
her cat form goes straight from fluffy to damn to oh hell nah.
So basically, he's running around saying this is not possible because he's supposed to have acquired her immunity to her Ryatsu, and then he hypothesizes that maybe it's because of like he doesn't believe that it's possible for the Ryatsu of the same Shinigami to change mid-fight, and then Urahara is dashing along with him. And it's like, nope, it's on the move.
I will say this:
Um,
it's kind of amusing to see him just trolling him by just following along.
yeah. So basically, he says like
Like, cats
cats
are
are
fickle.
fickle. Yeah. And that he says that with the Kokubo Senki,
This thing.
yeah, form of Yorichi, it basically becomes part of the Ryatsu, and that she would randomly chase after him, or she would randomly stop, and then it's based on her mood. Like Yorichi is a moody person as a human or as a Shinigami, but in this form, it's like really crazy.
Yeah.
And then her Ryatsu it changes along with her mood.
Yep.
It can become very unstable.
Urahara compares it to the fact that there's always to the flu season basically. Like, even though we vaccinate ourselves against the flu, vaccinate against the flu and things like that, there's always some little change that still lets it get through every year.
So basically, she's compared it to bacteria. It's kind of funny, but yeah. So Yorichi's constantly beating the shit out of him, and basically what's happening is her body's like the flu. It mutates and it's changing to adapt to the vaccine, or in this case, his immunity, which I think is actually a pretty cool way of looking at it.
Yeah.
The fact that is this a lot. I give Kubo shit for a lot of things, but this is actually pretty cool the way he did it.
Yeah.
So
I do have one
basically,
beef with it, but we'll go on.
yeah, I totally hate this chapter, but this is the one thing I'll
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Good thing I'll
Just
say about it.
everyone, just so you know, everybody, you're in for a treat. He has notes.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, Urahara explains a lot more about the form, blah 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 blah, and then apparently her Ryatsu or something like changes 48 times per second.
All right. Now
Which is insane.
here's where I can have a problem with it because that number seems excessive.
It does.
I mean,
say
it's
about,
like Toriko numbers almost. You just need
I'd
extra
say,
few.
like-
You just need like 2 or 3 zeros to make the difference.
Yeah, I'd say like she should have said like 2 or 3 times per second, because
Yeah.
even that's enough to say, oh my gosh, that's a lot.
Yeah, unless his inevitable Volstandic form can process even faster, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So basically, she attacks him, gigantic lightning bolt. We have a lot more panels of lightning bolt, and so she finishes him off, and then Urahara calls her, and he's like, "Hey, it's playtime. Come here, come here." And then she's like, runs to him, and then licks him.
And then sits in
Okay,
his lap.
so all you fans who wanted Yoriichi and Soifan to get together, I think that's been killed in this chapter.
Well,
uh,
let's see what happens when Soifan gets hold of a cat teaser.
Oh, yeah, but he said, but Uruharu actually points out that he's the only one that can actually like rein her in, though.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is the one. Okay, so the first thing that I wrote in my notes is that I don't like the fact that she becomes so ridiculously subservient to
Okay.
Uruhara. Like, it. Okay, look,
Well,
I understand.
it's only Urahara though, from the implication. Like anyone else would not work.
I know that, but in terms of their, because we were always led to believe that it was Yoruichi who was kind of like the dominant one in the relationship, whatever relationship they had. But kind of seeing how she's like basically his pet, it's kind of demeaning.
Yeah, and then
and really sexual too.
yeah,
I mean, there's a look. I'm all for if you want to express your sexuality, it's okay. But the fact she's doing this at the same time licking him and basically like being a cat, like literally his pet, it's kind of like it is kind of demeaning. For someone as proud as Yoruichi, and I don't like that.
I mean, at least it fully explained why she was reluctant to even do this.
Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah, and if you haven't more, I was just gonna get on with the chapter. If you have something else you want to add, go for it.
Oh no, that's it for now.
Okay. Yeah. So Urahara, like one of the reasons he called her and got her under control is because the 5 minutes for his immunization treatment are almost up. So she starts getting sick again. He'll get the boys taken care of in just a bit, but first he wants to check on Askin, make sure he's been dealt with, which obviously he has not.
Stop. Okay. Right when I hate how he says it. He says first I'll go look for the body and make sure that he's enjoying it in terms of this. Okay, this pissed me off because this guy's supposed to be the smart one. He's supposed to be the one who was so smart that he was actually part of the 5 war potentials for being the smart one. And yet he is dumb enough to think that Askin's already been beaten. What the frick?
Oh,
The moment I read this panel, I knew what the next page was gonna have. I mean,
we
all know, but I hate how they act as if like we know, but yet the smart one doesn't.
I mean, at the very least, you could at least phrase it differently. Like maybe double check that he's actually dead, and if not, finish him off. That's something like that. The simple rephrasing would have been fine.
Yeah, look, I understand that that we're gonna have this whole villains get more powerful, blah blah blah. At least have the heroes expect it too. Just be like, okay, now that we damaged him, we gotta be careful because he'll come back any time now. Like, there's a lot of manga out there that you defeat them at first, and then but the heroes are like, no, they're not done yet. Let's wait a second. We have to make sure that he's actually dead. I don't think he is. And when you do that, you still follow the formula, but you don't insult the audience's intelligence.
Right. Or the characters.
Like he's like, I'll go look for the body, dude. You're the smart one. When the smart one is dumber than any member of the audience, and I'm pretty sure that the audience knows what's up. That's a problem because that's a very bad disconnection.
Real quick, slight digression if you don't mind. Like I said, we were wondering about the names. With the 5 war powers and all that. Like the English chapter spells things a little bit differently. Like with Ichigo, it's potential. Kenpachi, it's combat strength. Ichibe was wisdom. I think we debated about that a bit. Aizen was also Ryatu, spiritual pressure. And for Urahara, it says...
Predictable means? Oh, tactics or whatever.
In this case, they say incalculable tricks.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I know about that. I was listening to the weekly manga recap, which does use the official chapters when they actually review it.
Okay.
And they said this. I remember that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to me, it was essentially the same thing. Like I knew it was basically to have to do with his tactics or his intelligence. That's basically what they were going for. So, in the next chapter, we get this huge ass. It's a 1-page like spread.
Yeah.
Of an explosion, and then next page, we have Urahara being hella surprised, and Yoruichi being surprised too. And he's like, "What in blazes?"
Well, Yoruichi might be more justified in this case.
I mean, I think she's more in the fact that she's combating the poison.
Yeah, and
as well as being surprised. The issue I'm having is that everyone's surprised when they shouldn't be.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, she has essentially no real intelligence at this point. So okay, fine, but Urahara, no. Okay? You just this is not supposed to be something you're surprised at. You're supposed to expect this shit.
And
what the hell?
And the thing he's so surprised about is that Aston has come back as a JoJo reject.
Yeah, and we spent 3 entire pages to get this guy to have him show off his Quincy, his Volstendic form. I mean, he's like, oh yeah, it's called Hassan, Hassan. It's a pretty morbid name, don't you think? Okay, I'm very upset at this chapter now, and I wrote notes, but most of them were for when we analyze this.
Hmm.
Okay,
Go for it.
so
Analyze away.
I already spoken about the subservient thing to Urahara and
Yeah.
Urahara being hella dumb. Another thing I hate
Go
is
for
the
it.
fact that when Quincy's released, it's always super duper dramatic. It's supposed to be surprising, and it's always disrupting the pace of the fight. I mean, what happens is that you have them fight for a bit, and then and then there's a calmness, like a calm before the storm, and they transform. And it takes up 3 damn pages, and then they talk about themselves for another like chapter.
Yeah.
Okay, that's disrupting the pace of the fight. Okay, this is a shonen manga. What is the shonen supposed to be? It's supposed to be for fighting. That is the core of what we're looking for.
Or
When you do
well,
these-
action at least.
yeah, action, whatever. That's basically it. When you do these really over dramatic releases all the effing time, one, you desensitize the audience to it because as many people have said, if every okay, nothing seems small. Okay, nothing seems big because nothing seems small. Every it's being done way too much. Now we don't really think of it as a big deal because it's not really special anymore. And the second thing it does is it disrupts the pace of the fight because you're having this high pace action and then you stop and then you go back again and it disrupts the flow. When a good transformation is that like something that unless it's unique, because look, if it's a really cool once in a lifetime transformation, then okay, fine, you have this dramatic thing, like Goku turning Super Saiyan for the first time.
Or even like
But remember
Frieza.
that
Even like for all the jokes that probably get made about that, that was the first time Dragon Ball really used that gimmick. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but the thing is though, like, keep in mind that after Goku becomes Super Saiyan, each consecutive time it takes him 1 second to transform, right?
Right.
It's the same thing. Like yeah, the first time, or if it's a special unique form like Goku doing Super Saiyan 3, then yeah, take a while. You can take a while.
Yeah, have
But the
fun with
problem is we've seen the voice ending form like 20 times already. So the one we expect him to have it. So when he actually does transform, just transform and get back up and fight.
Yeah.
Don't talk about don't.
2 pages of explosion transformations are not justified.
Yeah, they're not justified. Just transform and get on with it, okay? Like that way you avoid the whole he's being surprised, and that way you can just keep the fight going. And maybe I guess it's a lot easier to just draw this rather than draw fighting in action. I mean, I'm generally upset because I'm so sick of the repetitiveness of this. It's happening every single time. They get
And the
beat.
go ahead.
They get beat. There's calmness. There's a really overdramatic transformation that's supposed to surprise the audience and the characters. But at this point, I think just really surprise the characters and for any stupid idiots out there. And I'm thinking about this. At this point, you should know.
Yeah.
And then have them dominate for a little while, and then the fight begins again. I mean, just transform, and then get a move on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Naruto does this pretty well too. They do it pretty well. Like there's a transformation, and then you keep moving, right?
Yeah, they don't waste time on that. And
And like I think that when Madara transformed into his Stage 6 transform, I think it literally took like 3 panels. Like it was a really fast transformation. I remember that. It was pretty fast. It was a pretty fast transformation. Same thing when Guy went all eight gates. I mean, it was a fast transformation, and he went going.
of course,
and
that kind of goes with what you're saying though, because like we'd already seen the 8 gates in action.
Yeah. Well, that's.
Well, not
no,
the
we only
8th gate, but we've seen the general thing in action with Rock Lee.
Yeah,
and Gar.
but the reason why it was special there is because not only did we never see the 8 gates, but we also there was a build up with a lot of like emotions behind it and all that.
Yeah.
But even then, it was fast, right? It was still pretty fast. We've seen the Volson thing like a billion times, so and we honestly at this point I think we've used up every kind of special design out there. I don't think I don't think any other design can surprise me at this point.
Yeah.
So it's just at the pace, all right? And then here's another problem I have. Okay.
Go for it.
So
At this point, just to let you know, I'm not really even really concentrating on even trying to reply or anything. I'm just laying back in my new computer chair and listening.
yeah, I'm pretty sure you kind of agree with at least most of the stuff.
Oh yeah.
But I'm sure a lot of people are asking. Especially Bleach fans are gonna ask me this.
Oh yeah.
And they ask this every single damn comments. Every time I read the comment, why are you still reading this? Okay, stop asking a question that you already know the answer to. We all know it. So at this point,
Pretty much
all
the
you're
answer.
doing.
Yeah, the answer at this point, by the way, is we're committed now.
Yeah, like we're so deep into this. Like we've already wasted we used up so much time to read this manga. It's better psychologically to finish this stuff. Like we're all people are psychologically completionists, right?
Yep.
So it just makes more sense for us to finish it, even if we don't necessarily like or enjoy it as much as we used to.
Yeah.
And so, and what I hear about that type of question is that it's provocative. You're asking the person to provoke him, and you're not really adding anything to the conversation because it really doesn't change anything. You know, what does that sound like?
Mm-hmm.
That is literally the criteria I use to determine if something is a troll.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally a troll comment because it's provocative and it adds nothing to the conversation. I'm starting to cough now because I'm speaking too much. So okay, that's one thing. The second thing is that I'm sure now I talked about the repetitiveness of this formula, right?
Right.
A lot, and now this is something that's also in the comments. Every single effing week, it is Kubo's style, and therefore it is okay.
No.
Because just saying it's your style doesn't. Lazy and repetitive writing is bad, regardless of whether or not you say it's your style or not.
Yeah,
okay?
It's okay to have a unique style of writing. I mean, I'm all for that, but when your unique style is bad, that's still a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to use that excuse with my professor. Your essay's lazy and repetitive. Don't worry, it's my style. It's okay.
Well, your style gets an F. F minus.
And that literally is though. Like they're trying to say that because it's a style, it's okay. You cannot use that excuse in writing in academics or anywhere of the sort. So why should it be okay in this situation as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another thing, and so another thing I want to go after is the formula. So in this chapter, we have another example of him using something he's done over and over and over again. He gets beat and he comes back and one way, blah blah blah. What is okay? Now the common thing that Bleach fans always say is other shonen manga do it, so why do you have a problem? Okay, first off,
if I may, before you get started, it's all in the delivery.
Yes. So that's the second thing I was gonna say. But the first thing is, just because everyone else does it, doesn't mean it's right. Two, it is the formula is the same, but the execution and delivery is different. When something like Naruto or One Piece, or I'm not gonna use those, like Dragon Ball Z or anything else like shonen that does this formula. I don't know. I'm sure Toriko does this too. I don't read Toriko though. Can you? Is it based on this or?
Yeah, I mean, Toriko takes itself a lot less seriously, so it's kind of like the best kind of ridiculous kind. Like it.
Okay.
I remember earlier I was comparing Yoruichi's 48 times per second to that. The reason I compared it to Toriko is because Toriko will throw out like big ass numbers like candy.
Yeah. Okay, so when they fight, there's evading, there's running, there's many blows that may not be big blows, but they're small blows. There's there's tactics. There's moving certain types of movement, and all that's happening in the framework of the formula. So yes, when someone eventually that the villain's gonna get the upper hand, and then the hero is gonna respond. But while that's happening, you have so much action packed into every page. You're not really seeing that. You're just seeing the fights. The problem with Bleach is not that there's a formula, but that the formula is visible and easily noticeable without even trying, because they're just standing there and attacking once or twice. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, Yoichi actually did 3 hits this time. Amazing, isn't it? Or was it 2?
Yeah, I think she got in more than that because of how they were like going like lightning fast and all that.
Yeah, but the problem is, it's generally speaking, it's just them standing there and then one slash. So it's really easy to notice that something's like there's a formula being used because there's nothing else to look at. It's just one huge ass giant panel of them making one critical blow after another, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Except Yu-Gi-Oh! Is actually entertaining. So
yeah, you were trying to work out a joke for that earlier, I remember.
Yeah, well, it's whatever.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
The point is, even Yu-Gi-Oh! Is more entertaining at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And because Yu-Gi-Oh! At least admit it's honest. It's saying, look, I'm a trading card. It's a trading card anime.
Mm-hmm.
We have to take turns. So, but this the Bleach is not a trading card anime or manga. It's a shonen manga that has swords and fighting and all that other stuff. Um, and what I hate, and again this chapter demonstrated it again, is that when they transform when they reveal that when they turn the fight back into their favor,
Hmm.
they often reveal that whatever happened to them before, like any type of blow or damage they got, has been erased. It either had no damage to begin with, or it had completely healed, which makes the previous
Well,
attacks pointless.
this would be more justified in this particular case.
Yeah, but the problem is that it's not. This is not just this fight. It's with every other fight because all the Volstand digs heal the
Yep.
Quincy's.
Yeah,
Right? There's no exception. They
I think
all
we
heal
ran.
the Quincy's.
I think we ran it with Tweety Borrow before. Yeah.
And actually, I heard that it was the same thing with the Orion cars too. Like part of their transformation is to heal any injury they had before.
Well,
The problem when you do
you know,
that,
I will say though that does justify not using the transformations right away.
yeah, yeah. But the problem when you do that is it makes the fighting before that literally pointless. And the
Mhm.
problem is because this back and forth thing happens in the same way, it basically comes down to the last blow being the only one that matters. So literally 95% of the fight doesn't matter. Only the last blow. See, when fights happen, each blow may not be big, but they should at least contribute to some level of damage on a permanent level. And then, of course, the final blow will come eventually. If you depend everything on the final blow, then yeah, you have this really big moment at the end, but that's all we remember of the fight. I mean, that's a problem though. Like that's most Bleach fights I can remember as of late have just been the final blow because they're the only ones that actually did anything.
Yeah, they're the only ones that matter. And on that note, I may have one that you haven't really gotten into yet.
Yeah.
It, correct me if I'm wrong. If this is in your notes, but what about the fact that the one person fighting Askin is the one person who actually has a power that's uniquely suited to countering his power, and it was not done deliberately?
Yeah, yeah, that too. I was about to say I think I was about to say something like that too. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is also another thing that's been happening, especially with the now fight.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
of course, they'd be the one perfectly suited to fight the um, the Quincy. I mean, it's this. That's the problem though. The fights feel like they're rigged, that they're artificial.
Right.
They're not natural. Like when you fight for real, at least even in fiction, the fights should happen kind of randomly. Like you never know who you're gonna get, and how the characters adapt to that is what makes it awesome. When you see them saying, "Look, my powers are not good for the situation. Let's see how I can change it so that it can be."
You
So
know,
having your powers be revealed as having always been best suited for this fight is a little ridiculous.
right. You know what it's making me
Um,
think of that we're talking about it? One Piece, the NES lobby fight, specifically Zoro and Sanji with Jabra and Kaku. Jabra even points out the fact that that Kaku would be a better opponent for Sanji than him,
yeah.
because Sanji uses blunt force and he's got the mastery over the iron body power. But what does that stop Sanji? No, he just finds a way to get around it.
Oh, I will say that Kaku and Zoro were both swordsmen. So that
Well,
was
yeah, I
kinda
mean,
like,
that,
oh, we knew that was gonna happen.
yeah, as far as One Piece gimmicks go, that's pretty much just rigged, right? That is rigged.
And the second best of the organization, of course, goes against Zoro because
Yeah.
top best goes with Luffy's. Like, I mean, that
I mean,
is kind of a
in
bummer too.
yeah, but I like it. But I just like the fact that Jabra actually points out that in that specific instance, Sanji would have been a better suited to fighting Kaku than Zoro was.
Anyway,
Yeah.
and then what else? Okay, so okay, let's see here. And I think the problem I have with this is that we're really building up with a guy who we don't care about because of all the elite guard, Askin is the least important because there's
True.
Lilibaro who was the leader of the elite guard,
Yeah.
and then everyone else was either part of the sulking, so they have meaning in terms of plot relevance, and then we have Hashwald and Uryu. So technically
And
speaking,
we also have
Askin
Mighty
was
Thor.
Sorry.
We also have Thor.
No, but I included him too because he's also part of the Soul King.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. That's right. Heart of the Soul King. I forgot about that for a moment.
Yeah, Heart of the Soul King.
Gigantor.
Um, But I mean, Askin was not even part of the elite guard to begin with, so I guess he's therefore. I mean, he's the most least interesting, and yet we look nothing. As I
Mm-hmm.
said before, nothing seems big because nothing seems small. Not
Oh, that's
everyone
good.
deserves a double page spread. Okay, like or a double page spread transformation. At this point, Askin is more of a nuisance than he is an elite guard.
Right.
Um, don't make the transformation over dramatic. Just
You
get
know,
to it.
I just had a thought, completely unrelated to anything. So feel free to cut me off here. But Ewok has omnipotence. He knows all that. He knows all and sees all. That means that he would have. That means he would have seen his guys being beat down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Eisen and the Arrancar all over again. Like he all the time, and they're just disposable troops. I mean, obviously with the Ewok, we already knew that, but still, it's like
Well, I like with Eisen, he expected them. He expected the Espada to be better than they were, because he even said like, I don't have to do anything. The Espada should take care of it. And then he killed them because he realized that they were disappointing. So he actually expected them to be better. He didn't really see them losing. And then when he did, he's like, well, I guess you're not up to my standards. So he tried to kill Harabel. With Euler, it seems it's not even a maybe they might win, maybe they might lose. It's no, I know. So there's a little bit of a difference there.
I mean, if you know they're
Um,
going to lose, why not do something about it?
I think maybe you can make the argument that he is like he knows that they are going to lose, but whatever happens afterwards, he's got everything accounted for.
Ah,
Like
true.
it's you can't win.
Like they're
I
like he's counting on the winners of the fight are knocked out for the rest of it trope.
like it's the same argument for him predicting Ryu. Like even if he knew Ryu was going to betray him, he was able to do something. Like he has something planned that makes everything meaningless. Like it makes him the ultimate victor regardless of what happens. That could be the same thing. Because remember, he even said like he knew that the Bankai is going to be used. He doesn't care. Um, so, but okay. So let's see what else I have to say on my notes.
Yeah, just run down a checklist.
I guess okay. I mean, it's a lot of it at this point is just kind of like in my head. I'm thinking of Bleach fans and what they would say. Um, and again, I think in this sense, I'm kind of done with the chapter itself. But I do want to still talk about some things I have read in the comment sections for this chapter.
Yeah.
I mean, the question I want to ask Bleach fans is this:
Mhm.
what can Kubo do to ruin Bleach for you? And if the answer is nothing, then you're too far gone. Like, there's no reason talking to you.
There's no saving them.
Yeah.
They're just given the Kool-Aid and be done with it.
Well, that's the thing. That literally proves that the brand name is your bias with just Bleach. You don't actually care about the content anymore. You're just saying, oh, it's Bleach. I therefore love it. That doesn't mean you're a real or fake fan. It just means you're really really biased and you're not worth talking to at this point, or like you're too far gone. Because because any series, no matter what, no matter how good it is, it's it's open to the possibility of it being ruined, because everything should be on even ground.
Yep.
So it's not about whether you love it doesn't change the fact that you're a real or fake fan if you don't like it as much, because what you fell in love with is gone. It's not the same anymore, right? So you have the right to say, no, what I fell in love with is gone. I want it back, right? So being in love with Bleach, regardless of and being dedicated to it no matter what happens, because you feel that if you say I don't like it as much that you're less of a fan, that's not true. A fan becomes a fan because there's something he liked. If it's gone, he has the right to say I don't like that, I want it back. Things change. Bleach changes, anime changes. So therefore the fans have the right to say that their tastes, that they can change too, in terms of saying whether they like something or not. Another thing I kind of want to talk about is a lot of times, and this has kind of happened too, is that a lot of people use numbers to say that they're right. First off, whether you're right or wrong doesn't it doesn't. Okay, the amount of people who agree with you does not change whether you're right or wrong. It can give you helpful hints about how about how well your research is being done and all that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. So a lot of people would say, Bleach is still selling, I think, 3 million copies every year, which is still like, I think it used to sell 8 million, so it still lost 5 million. So yeah, you have 3 million who like it, but there are 5 million who stop reading it. So by that token alone, you already lost the numbers game that people are saying. Oh, Bleach still has 3 million people buying it, therefore it's still good, right? Otherwise, why would it sell this much? Ever think that maybe these guys are just as stubborn as you are?
Yeah.
3 million
or even stubborn as we are.
3 million out of a billion. How many people? Like 7 billion people in the world. 3
Something
million
like
out of 7 billion is not that much. And especially not even and not much compared to people who actually did read it and stopped reading it. And I'd like to keep in mind is that it's also harder to keep track of people who don't like it, because they're not going to say anything, right? Because you're only keeping track of the people who like it, but then there could be 20 other million people who just don't care enough to say anything. They maybe they read it and they just don't like it. I mean, they wouldn't be counted among the numbers. So I hate it when people use the numbers thing, because it's actually a very flawed argument. Because I can always throw it right back at them, And yes, numbers is a factor. It's important to keep selling numbers, right? But it's better to look at a trend. When a manga loses more than half of its viewers, something is wrong. We don't look at how much we keep. We look at how much we lost.
Yep.
That's how studios, that's how companies, that's how anyone will look at the way sales go. They don't look at how much numbers they have, although they do keep track of it. I mean, it's good to keep above a certain threshold. But when things drop, they get worried. I mean, look at the Fine Brothers, right? The guys who did reacting. They still had 13 million subscribers, but they lost 800,000, which is not much compared to 13 million, but that was enough to make them panic because something was wrong. That is a perfect example of that. They had a lot of people who were still subscribed, and the people they lost is not even, not really big proportion compared to the 13 million, but it still was big enough of a drop to make them say, oh shit, we did something wrong. That is exactly in what I feel like Bleach is kind of like now. It did drop, and there's many factors as to why maybe it can go back up or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing, though, right? Like, when you reach a certain, this is the same thing for YouTube channels. When you reach a certain amount of popularity, it is almost impossible for you to drop, no matter what happens. Like, you'd have to have like a sexual, like with Sam Pepper, you have to have like a sexual harassment case to make people actually hate you. That's the thing, though. Like, once you get popular, that 3 million you will always keep. That's because you're always gonna keep the guys who are the most hardcore.
Yeah.
When you reach that threshold, the numbers are important, but there's always more to analyze. There's something more. I mean, SAO, in my opinion, is a good example for me, at least, because it does sell. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I can't say have my problems with it. And even fans will admit that there's at least something. It's not perfect. So that having good sales is good for the author, and it's you're doing something right, but that doesn't mean that you're doing everything right. And I think that's it for that.
Yeah, I think we covered just about everything on there. We should take notes more often, or one of us should.
It's I don't know. I mean, I had a lot. I think I had a lot more to say, but I was kind of thinking about that while driving, going to school, like the day I read this. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't write it down, right?
Right.
So, and of course, I actually had to take my classes, so I was distracted. So when I came home, I was kind of tired. So blah blah blah. I didn't actually decide to do my notes until today. So this is most of me trying to recall what I felt when I was reading this.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of I forgot to say this one thing. I actually misread. I looked this over. Okay, so I know so a lot of the comment section is generally negative towards Bleach, and honestly, rightfully so.
Yes.
Most of these guys are dead on, but a lot of Bleach fans have problems with this and they get angry and look. First off, these aren't Bleach forums, okay? You're not going. If you cannot take this every week, then stop reading them. Because you're not winning anyone over, especially when you just do shit like, why are you reading this? Or F you, or whatever, or, It's like, yeah, we get it, you like Bleach, but I don't, And I'm gonna give my reason. I mean, most of these guys in the comment section, they actually explain why they don't like it. and all the fans are just like, no, no, no. Some fans explain,
Like,
but
you
a lot of
dislike
them
it.
don't.
Shame. Death.
I mean, it's really awful. This is not just for Bleach fans though.
Well, yeah, I
this
mean,
is
it's
a
like
lot of
anything.
Yeah, but I'm concentrating because this is a Bleach review, so I want to talk specifically about the Bleach fans, and I'm actually looking at the comment section right now, and it's really bad with sometimes the way they respond. And look, if you guys really want to talk about how much you love this chapter, go to a Bleach forum, okay? I'm sure they have a little better, slightly better reviews. And you know what? People have a right to give negative remarks, as long as remarks should always be backed up with evidence. But if it's negative, whatever, because if we censor people who don't like it because people might get offended or whatever, then you actually skew the results, and you actually change the perception of how good the site actually thinks the chapter, right? Because Manga Stream doesn't like this chapter, but if we shut up all the people who say mean things about Bleach, then people would think, oh, everyone likes this chapter because the 5 comments that say it's great, that must be the entire site, because psychologically that's the way we think. Even if the numbers aren't high, if we just see positive reception, we're just going to think that the site gives positive reception. But at the end of the day, the fact that a lot of comment section in these more neutral setting, nothing's completely neutral, but this is not a Bleach forum, right? So you can at least look at this and think, well, if the fact that this is mostly negative, it kind of gives you a perception or an idea of what some people who are not biased with Bleach think. Because if you go to a Bleach forum, chances are it's gonna be pretty positive throughout. They might have problems too, but generally speaking, it's probably pretty positive, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the one thing I did want to mention. A lot of this is about fans too, but I think the reason why I kind of pushed this all in this one review is because this is the chapter in which I just hit the breaking point. I was like, okay, no.
Yeah,
I was so sick of the repetitiveness. I've been sick of the repetitiveness before. I've mentioned how sick it was, but I think it just kept building and it kept building and it kept building.
Yeah, like last.
I'm sure it's gonna keep building, but at this point, this is what I want to say. No, what the hell? And I think the reason why is because Urahara had to be so freaking dumb, but yet he was supposed to be the smart one. I think that was one of the things that set me off.
Yeah, like I said last week, we were just kind of like in like a state of resignation. Now it's indignation.
Yeah, I was about to mention that too. I totally forgot about saying this, but I was gonna tweet out something like, I was so angry that I basically became calm, and now it made me even angrier to the point where I became angry again. It made me go through a whole cycle.
Yeah.
I think, can't you guys? I think a lot of people can tell at this point, right? I'm basically yelling at this point. I'm really trying to make myself clear in this case. Man.
Yeah.
I think I blew part of my voice for that.
Was it worth it?
I had to get it out. I tweeted some of this out, but it's not the same. Yeah. I wanted to get it out with my voice and actually get some type of catharsis going on here.
Well, I guess that means it'll probably be worth it then. So I think, are you good to go then? Because other than my own little thing about the ass pull power, I think I'm good to go on mine.
I don't think I'll ever be good to go. I think I just have to stop wherever I can.
Yeah, I guess at this point, like I said, I think we've petered out a bit.
I have my face to my palm right now.
This is why we did the Mario. This is why we recorded the Mario review first instead of Bleach first, like we usually do.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring any negativity over to Mario, so I decided to do Mario first. But...
Yeah.
My gosh!
Alright, so I think we'll wrap it up here then. That has been our review of Bleach, chapter 663, Rumiko Takahashi's Grounds for Lawsuit. Go ahead and take us away.
Bye.